Hey guys, it's Mickey. Welcome back to my channel. I have been absent for a few weeks. When I came back from vacation, I got sick and then I hurt my back and then we had a bunch of things going on with our family and events, and so I'm finally getting back to putting some videos out for you guys. So I am doing some dinners and other things that we did over the last several weeks. So to start with today, I am making some sourdough hamburger buns. This is actually a recipe from Farmhouse on Boone. It was her sourdough hot dog bun recipe, and I just made them into hamburger buns. It's a simple recipe. It's absolutely delicious. The first time that I did it, I didn't get started in time, so I did add a little bit of yeast so that they could rise and be ready for our dinner. Today, I did let these go ahead and rise the way they were supposed to, according to her recipe. But as I said, it's a very simple recipe. The honey as your sweetener, as your food for your yeast, if you will, gives it a really delicious flavor, and they turn out soft and fluffy and the perfect amount of brownness, and they are delicious. So I'm just going to go ahead and let this mix up in my KitchenAid, and I'll pull it out when it's ready to work. So while that's running, I am going to go ahead and just make another loaf of regular sourdough. My husband really enjoys just the regular artisan loaf. I try to make one every few days. He tends to eat a piece or two with his coffee in the morning before he heads to work. So this recipe is kind of a combination of Lisa's from Farmhouse on Boone and also Becky from the Seasonal Homestead. I've kind of combined what works for me out of both of their processes, and so I've got that. It's ready to autolyze now, and I'm just going to set it to the side while I go back to my hamburger buns. So once these have mixed, they mix about 8 to 10 minutes or so, and then you'll know the dough's ready because it's starting to pull away from the sides of your bowl and away from your beater. And so we're just going to take that out. I'm going to roll it around a little bit, kind of pull it all together, and then we're just going to let it rest. So now I am going to take the dough and I'm going to divide it out into my pieces for my buns. So this recipe, it made 10 good size hot dog buns. So I'm going to go ahead again and cut this into 10 pieces to make the hamburger buns. So I'm using my bench scraper because it's a lot easier to control, and I just kind of eyeballed mine in terms of size. If it really bothers you, if they're not exactly equal, you can use a scale to weigh the dough as you cut it from the bigger piece and make sure that they're all the same size. I don't really care, so I just, like I said, I just eyeball it, and they were close enough to suit my purposes. We're going to have some barbecue pork sandwiches with these. And so what you do after you get these pieces is you just kind of shape them like you would do any regular sourdough, kind of creating that surface tension on the top of each ball of dough. And I'm going to do that with all of them, and then I'm going to set them out on a piece of parchment paper, and we're going to cover them and let them rise until double. And it takes about an hour or so. And once we have let them rise, we're going to go ahead and give them an egg wash and put them in I think it was a 350 degree oven. I will go ahead and link that recipe in the description box as well. So while those are cooking, I'm going to go ahead and start putting together one of my sides. I have some peas that I cooked earlier and then let them chill. And so now I'm just going to cut up a little bit of onion, and I'm going to put in the peas, I'm going to add some diced onion, kind of minced onion, cut it pretty small. I'm going to add some cheddar cheese and some mayonnaise. You can also add some bacon bits to this if you like. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I didn't think about it today, and I didn't add them, but it's really good with the bacon bits as well. So I ended up chopping more onion than I needed, so I put the extra in a bag and stuck it in the refrigerator. So here I'm adding an egg wash to these hamburger buns, and it really makes a big difference in the browning that you get on them. They come out of the oven just so beautiful. So I think we baked them 25 minutes maybe, and then there they are, and you can see how amazing they look. And you can see they are mostly the same size. As I said, close enough to suit me. So here I'm going to go back to my pea salad, adding my cheese and my mayonnaise. This mayonnaise is some that I made, I don't know, a week or so ago. We were out, and so I just made my own. And there is no recipe for this. This is something I had I think probably at a family reunion when I was a teenager, and I absolutely loved it. So I'm going to stick that back in the fridge and so that it stays cold until we're ready to eat, especially since it has mayonnaise in it. So here's the pork. I had some shredded pork left over from something that I had done a while back. I'd portioned out the leftovers and just put them in baggies and froze them. So I'm just going to slice these buns most of the way through so that we can add our pork and whatever else we want to add to these. So my husband is home, but I think he's mowing on this night, so he's not ready to eat yet. So I'm going to go ahead and make my plate because I'm starving like I always am when I get home. So I'm just going to add some of this warmed up shredded pork. I've got some cheese there that I like to put sliced cheese on mine. And then I also have the bottle of sugar-free barbecue sauce that I bought so that it's a little better for me than the regular barbecue sauce. And it's actually pretty good. It's got a little kick to it, and it's also got some sweetness, so it's really good. I really enjoy it. So then I'm just going to get some of this pea salad on my plate, and then I will be ready to eat. And then Joe will eat when he comes in from mowing. So on this day, I am out of breadcrumbs, and rather than buy some, because I'm trying to avoid buying things that I don't need to, I had a loaf of bread in my freezer from several months earlier, and it's freezer burned on the bottom of the loaf. So I've just sliced it up, and now I'm going to cube it, throw it on a cookie sheet, and put it in the oven, a low temp oven, and just let these dry out so that I can turn them into my breadcrumbs. So I cut these all up, and then I realized that it was way too many for one single cookie sheet. So I am going to get a second one and divide that bunch of cubed up bread out so that it's going to dry out a little bit easier, more evenly, so that I don't have some burned pieces. So just going to stick those in the oven. And I think I left them in there about 30 to 40 minutes. I think I had it set at 250 or 300. And they came out perfect. And so now I'm just going to run them through my blender. You could use a food processor if you wanted. I'm just using the blender because it was easier for me to get to. So then I just run it until you've got whatever size crumbs you want for your breadcrumbs. And then I just have an old canning jar that I have. I'm going to pour those in, and then I'll be able to have those for whatever I might need breadcrumbs for. I did do them specifically for a recipe that we're having with dinner on the next day, and here my husband is being silly off screen, so I was laughing at him. Also, I had lunch with some friends, and they were making suggestions of how I could make my channel more popular, and of course, none of them were actually appropriate for this channel, so we are not going to do any of those. But I'm going to finish blending these up and put them in this jar, and then I'll have them for whatever recipes that I need. So also with dinner, and this is why I needed the breadcrumbs, I did spend about $20 this week. We got a few cucumbers, we did get a couple cucumbers. We got some zucchini and some corn. I don't have zucchini or cucumbers in my garden yet. They have not started producing. So I did buy a few, but I bought some chicken because we were completely out of just chicken breast. I do have some whole chicken left in my freezer, but I wanted chicken breast specifically. So I cut up my zucchini, and I'm just going to mix up some of the breadcrumbs that I bought and some grated Parmesan. I'm going to add a little salt and pepper. I did also add some garlic powder and some onion powder and a little bit of basil, I believe. And then I just stirred that all up as a coating for my zucchini. Now what I ended up doing was putting these zucchini on a tray, and then I sprayed them with butter spray. And probably what I should have done was melted some butter in with my coating and then dipped them, but they were still good. So we've got our corn ready. I'm going to put some water, added some butter to the water, and then I did also add some milk. The last time I used milk, they turned out really, really good. And I did have some comments the last time that said that they have always done that too, and it makes the corn really sweet. I don't know if that's what makes it sweet or if it was sweet to begin with, but the corn was really good. So here I've got our chicken. I bought a package that had 6 pieces, and these are Walmart chicken, so of course the chicken breasts are just humongous. So all I do when I buy these is I cut off as much of the fat and extra, if there's any kind of gristly pieces on the side, like right here, what I'm cutting off. I give that stuff to the dog because he loves it. And I did go ahead and take care of the entire package, but we're using 2 of these for dinner tonight. So I got some plastic and my meat tenderizer, and then I just used the smooth side of the tenderizer, and I pound the chicken breast fairly flat. I prefer them that way. They cook more evenly, and then I can use them for a bunch of different things. So these are the 2 that we're going to have for dinner tonight. I've got some pre-made seasoning, store-bought seasoning, that I'm just going to sprinkle on that before we put it on the grill. And there I am talking to my husband off screen again. And then, as I said, I do go ahead and just take care of the other 4 pieces and get them ready as well. I wrap each one, I fold each one in a piece of parchment paper so they don't stick together, and then I put it in a Ziploc baggie and we put it in the freezer. And then that makes it really easy to just pull out however many pieces of that chicken that I want. So here I've got our chicken come off the grill. It was delicious. It was really tender. And then we're going to go ahead and get our corn and our zucchini, and we are ready to